Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearings of today being July 28, 2022. Mr. Liming, if you could do the honors of doing a roll call for me, please.
Certainly. Would the representative from the Public Works Department please state his or her name?
Thank you. Farah Jayasinghe.
Property Management,
Joseph Callahan,
Transportation,
Amy Gordon.
Water and Sewer Commission,
Denise Devlin,
Disabilities Commission, Sarah, Disabilities Commission,
Leah.
thank you. And
Sorry, Leah. Can you hear me?
Yes, Sarah.
Right.
yes, we got you, Sarah, thank you. And I don't believe Brian has signed on yet, so
Yes, he may be a few minutes late, and we'll acknowledge him at that point in time.
Yes.
So we have a forum, Mr.
yes, we do.
Thank you. First order of business, approval of the hearing minutes at the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of minutes of the PIC hearings held on July 14, 2021. Can I get a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of PIC hearing from July 14th, 2022.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposing or abstaining? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. First order for public hearings portion of the agenda, public hearing number 1. On a petition by Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Development Corp. doing business as 25 Emery Apartments LLC for the widening and relocation of the existing right-of-way lines of Emery Street, which is a public way in Roxbury, located on its westerly side, generally south of Center Street. This was brought under new business on July 14th of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Widening and Relocation Plan, Emery Street, parcel number 11011-98010-25 Emery Street, Roxbury, one sheeted dated April 11, 2022. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Steve Farr from Niche Engineering. I am also here with John Schmidt of our office and Lena Jimenez, project manager with 25 Amory Street. If I could share my screen for a moment. Can you see the PDF?
Yes, Steve, we can. Go ahead.
John Schmidt, I think, is here and as well, and he just wants to give like a brief background maybe of the overall project. John, are you available?
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. This is Jackson Square Phase 3, and we believe this will, well, there'll be one more PIC action after this that'll be minor, but this is the final phase of Jackson Square redevelopment. Jackson Square redevelopment started back in 2007 with an original master plan. The original master plan indicated that Amory Street would be extended to Center Street. But as time passed and policies changed and we all became a little bit smarter about things, we've abandoned that, and now we're proposing to improve Amory Street extension to provide an adequate turnaround at the end of that. And Steve will dive into the details.
Sure, thank you, John. Again, this is a map of, this is Columbus Ave here, and this is Center Street, Amory Street extension, and this aerial photo is under construction right now. This is 25 Amory Street, one of the developments adjacent to the street. Another one is in construction right now. This is 250 Center Street. Both of these parcel owners are working in concert with the city in the development of these parcels and Amory Street itself. And the first order of business is the widening and relocation plan, which you see here, and I will zoom in to a specific area that is at the end of Amory Street. Center Street, again, is right here. This is the end of Amory Street, which is a dead end. It has a little hammerhead extension at the end for turning around of emergency vehicles. And as we bumped out the sidewalk, you can see the blue line here is the curb line, and the sidewalk encroached upon the parcel that is 25 Amory Street, and that parcel owner is giving an easement to the city of this small triangular wedge area here of about 55 square feet to allow for construction of the sidewalk. And that's about it. Any questions?
Sorry, thank you, Steve. Any questions for Mr. Parr or our consultants at this point by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Development Corp., DBA 25 Amory Street, for a widening relocation on Amory Street as read into record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Second item, public hearing number 2, on a petition by the City of Boston Public Works. On a petition by the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Roxbury, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk and roadway reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street trees, street lighting, infrastructure, stormwater drainage infrastructure, bollards, and pedestrian railings. Amory Street, generally between Center Street and Rowley Lane, Amory Street connector, Center Street at Amory Street connector at Amory Street / Rowley Lane. This was brought under new business on July 14th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plans, Amory Street, Boston, 6 sheets dated July 2022. Steve?
Sorry to interrupt, Chair. Just wanted to note that Brian Ronan of ISD has joined the hearing.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Brian, for joining us. Okay, so is it Steve or John?
I'll take this one. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you.
Steve Farr again from Niche Engineering. I'm also here with Joe Fleury from the Public Works Department, who is sitting in for Jeff Alexis, who's been working with us on this project as well. Again, this is the specific repair plan showing the improvements to Amory Street. This is Center Street on the right, and Columbus Ave is off the sheet down here to the bottom. I will zoom in just to point out some of the highlights of the project. The project includes reconstruction of the street, full depth reconstruction of the street, as well as sidewalks and pedestrian ramps, curbing here shown in blue, street trees along the 25 Amory Street side as well. The roadway is a 20-foot wide roadway for two-way traffic with a 7-foot parking lane. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a dead end here as it approaches Center Street, which has a hammerhead, for lack of a better word, which is a turnaround within the public layout for emergency vehicles. The Niche Engineering, along with the City of Boston, is proposing a specialty paver in this city right-of-way, which is a grass unit paver to allow for infiltration and some stormwater management. This will be constructed by the city, but maintained in perpetuity by the developer at 250 Center Street, which is this building right here in the top right. And we have a pedestrian walkway at the end of Center Street that goes up, at the end of Amory Street, which goes up to Center Street, making that connectivity. So those are the main features of this proposed reconstruction. Any questions?
Thank you, Steve. Steve, can you push the plan sheets more to your right-hand side so I can see the intersection of Amory and Amory and Amory? Right there. So the way how your plan sheets are shown right now, you've got Amory Street coming from the south, or well, no, from the east. You got Amory Street and Amory Street, but the petition or the hearing notes are saying something about an Amory Street connector. So can you clarify where Amory Street connector is, and if so, if there's such a, my bad. So that's the Amory Street connector.
Yes.
Todd, is the under our street names book, does it actually show up as Amory Street connector or as Amory Street?
Yeah, so the entirety of the north-south road here is Amory Street, and the short east-west connection between Amory Street and Columbus Ave is Amory Street Connector.
And it also applies that in our state book?
Yes, we made sure that these plans reflected the correct names.
My bad, what do I know? Okay, any questions for the petitioners from PIC staff? I'm sorry, fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, we're all set. The adjacent development project is working with Chung on a very minor LMI for those grass pavers.
I'm glad you said that thing. So we have something in the works, Mr. Liming?
Yes, we do.
And I assume all parties recognize that we need that documents to be executed before you can record this.
Yes.
Awesome,
Yes.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 2.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs within Amory Street, Center Street, and the Amory Street connector as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Farr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to our third item, public hearing number 3 on a petition by KYL Limited Liability Partnership for the granting of an earth retention license for the installation of a temporary earth support system and within the following public ways in West Roxbury: Belgrade Avenue on its southerly and northeasterly sides at address number 400, generally between West Roxbury Parkway and Beach Street/Kenneth Street. Beach Street on its northeasterly side, generally between West Roxbury Parkway and Belgrade Avenue/Kenneth Street. This was brought under new business on July 14th of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Temporary Earth Retention Plan, Beach Street and Belgrade Avenue, West Roxbury, one sheet dated July 2022. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Attorney John Fulgini. Good morning, board members. On behalf of the developer, with me this morning is Chi-Man, who is the team engineer. As you read out, this is a PIC action for a temporary earth retention system at 400 Belgrade Avenue in West Roxbury. A bit of history: 400 Belgrade's a development at a former gas station at the intersection of Belgrade Beach and the West Roxbury Parkway. The approved multifamily development calls for a 4-story building with 18 two-bedroom units and 33 below-grade parking spaces. As the construction started, the contractor realized that a temporary retention system would be required to fortify the foundation and in turn protect the surrounding city property. This action here this morning is to install solar piles at various locations around the site and to cut these piles 6 feet below grade where they will remain. The sections of pilings above the 6 feet will be removed and the sidewalks will be refinished. The earth retention system will extend approximately 106 feet along Beach Street and approximately 145 along Belgrade Avenue. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Chi-Man, who's the architect, and he will walk you through the plans before you. But we appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you catching this and bringing it back to us. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Good morning. I have the drawing on the screen. Do you guys see it? Or?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. The site, as you see, is at the 400 Belgrade Avenue. Is encompassed by Belgrade Avenue on the south side, and also Beach Street and East Roxbury Parkway on the east side. What you see on the screen here is we have an earth retention system basically go around the site where we need to construct the foundations for the underground parking under the building. Pretty straightforward on the section AA, which is on the southwest side here. It's a single pile system with the wood lagging. About 4.5 to 5 feet away from the foundation, just enough to install the retention system and to install the foundations and the building slab. To the north side, we are proposing to have two lacking piling system, one closer to the foundations and one is further away. It was originally proposed to have just one pile, but we have comments from BWSC. Make sure there's a 10-inch storm drain that we need to keep in place. So these configurations, one lower piles and one higher piles, enable us to retain that 10-inch drain line in place. And again, all this pile is going to be cut off 6 feet below grade or lower as needed by the city department or PIC at various locations if necessary. And the cut-off pile will remain abandoned in place, and anything above the cut-off will be completely removed from the site. And this plan, as shown here, has been revised based on various comments by the review comments from the city, including the locus, and again, we revised the piling system under the PIC comment, Boston Water and Sewer comments, and we have revision dates and some plan reference. There's a couple L plans reference, which is the specific repair plans, proposing some street improvement work around the sidewalk surrounding the project site. That's pretty much it, and if there's any questions, I can answer.
Thank you so much. Gee, I just want to make a point of clarification. It's just the way, and I may have misheard it, so it may have been the way John introduced you. You are not just only the architect, but you are the structural engineer who is stamped the plans as presented. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, any questions for the petitioner and or his team by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, I see none. I'll thank the project team for addressing all the plan comments that we gave them.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, John and your team. At this point, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 3.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by KYL LLP for the granting of an earth retention license in Belgrade Ave, Beach Street, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, John. Nicely done.
Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yeah. Public hearing number 4 on a petition by Externet Systems Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within the following public ways in Dorchester. Westview Street, generally between its easterly terminus and Blue Hill Avenue at Stratton Street. Blue Hill Avenue at Westview Street at Stratton Street. This was brought under new business on July 14th of this year and shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Westview Street, Dorchester, 9 sheets dated July of 2022. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner and other members. My name is Keenan Brin. I'm here on behalf of Externet. I'm also joined by Han and Arthur Pino regarding this fiber run. This petition requests permission to install a fiber conduit starting at Blue Hill Avenue and running along Westview Street for approximately 2,030 feet. It eventually terminates at a baseball field farther down Westview Street. This is also connecting to another fiber run previously approved by the commission that runs up and down Blue Hill Avenue. As is customary, Externet will install a shadow conduit. I don't recall that there were any other issues at the last meeting, so I would leave it up to the commission to ask any questions or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Breen. Just a point of amplification, clarification, or me just saying something. Keenan, I hope you know that the city is actively looking at redoing or reimagining Blue Hill Avenue, okay? In need of attention, and the city is quite excited about the transformative work which they want to do. So I'm going to assume that you are aware that just because the Public Improvement Commission gives you a grant of location, if your assets need to move as part of a city project, those assets will need to move at your expense on our timetable. I hope you know that, correct?
Well, yes, we're well aware of the activity on Blue Hill Avenue as well.
Awesome. Because right now that extremely important planning process, it has started. We actually don't know where the curve nights are going to be. We will do our best to ensure that there will be minimum impact to any utilities, but if it is needed to move, then it will be moved at your expense on our timetable. So I think I've said that thing for the last 20 plus years. So just want to keep making that point. Any questions for Mr. Breen by fellow commission members today? Hearing none. Any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, I see none.
Wonderful. Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 4.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Extenet Systems for a grant of location in Westview Street and Blue Hill Ave as read in the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 5 on a petition by Extenet Systems Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within the following public ways in East Boston. Gulf Street, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, between Cottage Street and Lubeck Street, Cottage Street northeast of Gulf Street. This was brought on a new business on Hello, thank you. Brought on a new business on July 14th of this year as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plans, Gulf Street, Cottage Street, East Boston, 3 sheets dated November 2021.
Good morning, Keenan Brennigan here on behalf of Extenet Systems. I'm joined by Han and Arthur Pino. This petition requests permission to install a fiber run for approximately 300 feet that begins on Gulf Street at Lubeck and continues for the 300 feet where it turns left on Cottage, where it terminates at that point. Again, we will be providing city shadow conduit. This run will be 300 feet, and certainly Extenet will work with the local community and contractors to make sure that this is done and well coordinated. If you have any questions, we'll take them now.
Thank you, Mr. Breen. Any questions of Mr. Breen or his petition team by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 5.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Extenet Systems for a grant of location in Gulf Street and Cottage Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second. Sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 6 on a petition by Extenet Systems Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within the following public ways in Hyde Park: American Legion Highway northeast of Clare Avenue south of American Legion Highway. This was brought under new business on July 14th of this year as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, American Legion Highway, Clare Avenue, Hyde Park, 6 sheets dated October 2021. Mr. Breen.
Yes, good morning again. I'm here on behalf of Extenet Systems regarding a petition for a fiber run that begins on Clare Avenue in Hyde Park for a short distance, and then it heads east along American Legion Highway for about 900 feet. It eventually ends farther down American Legion Highway at that shopping center where I think there's a Walmart if you need a landmark. But again, XNet will be providing city shadow conduit. This run is approximately 951 in total. If you have any questions, we'd be interested to hear them.
Thank you, Mr. Breen. I'm going to assume that Arthur Premier, who is here today, will take extreme caution, as he always does, to see the proper restoration and the work in this area, because the city has tried to protect the investment we made on American Legion Highway for many years, and it still looks good because we spent some space over here. Your cut will be the first noticeable cut along this corridor. Mr. Breen, I'm going to assume you are aware of the fact that there's a bicycle lane along this area. I just don't know exactly where it is, but hopefully your cut is not going to compromise the efficiency of the bicycle lane.
I don't see any reason that we would, but I'm aware that there is a bicycle lane on this stretch.
Okay. So again, it's one of our major north-south corridors here. We take extreme pride in the way how this corridor has functioned. So please continue to exercise the great caution which you always do to ensure that the area is worthy of your work as much as the city's.
Understood. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Breen.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Arthur. Truly appreciate you participating in this now. Any comments or questions to Mr. Breen or Mr. Premio or his team by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, all set.
Thank you, Todd. I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 6.
Make a motion to approve a petition by XNet Systems for a grant of location in American Legion Highway and Claire Ave as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 7 on a petition by Externet Systems Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within the following public ways in West Roxbury: Washington Street, generally between Metropolitan Ave and Beach Street at Walworth Street; Citrus Avenue, southeast of Washington Street; Beach Street, southeast of Washington Street. This was brought under new business on July 14th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Washington Street, Citrus Street, Beach Street, West Roxbury, 9 sheets dated July 2022. Mr. Breen?
Yes, good morning again. Keenan Bryn here on behalf of Externet Systems. This petition requests permission to install a fiber run along Washington Street, which will begin at Metropolitan Ave and continue for about 100 feet where there's a spur off to a pole, but the majority of the run is along Washington Street. It continues down Washington, then there is a short run onto Cedrus, and then it continues on Washington until it makes a left onto Beach Street where it terminates there. Again, 1,775 feet in total. Externet will provide city shadow conduit. I don't recall that there were any issues or questions last time, but we'd be happy to hear about any concerns for this particular run now.
Thank you, Mr. Breen. Any questions for Keenan by fellow commission members? Hearing none. Any comments or questions by PSC staff or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman. I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 7.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Externet Systems for a grant of location in Washington Street, Cedrus Avenue, and Beach Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Breen.
Thank you. Have a great day. Appreciate it.
That concludes the public hearing segment of our today's agenda. Now moving on to the new business portion of today's agenda. Just a point of order for all the new business items under today's agenda. Due to a variety of scheduling conflicts that we are experiencing among staff and a few other things, all new business hearings, any scheduled hearings for new business items today will have to be in 4 weeks, which should take us through August 25th. Normally we have a 2-week rotation, but August is always challenging. People tend to take vacation. Shame on me. Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, so new business item number 1. The Martin Street, Heath Street, Roxbury, line and grade approval, pedestrian easement, specific repairs on a set of joint petitions by the Mildred Haley 1A Limited Partnership, Mildred Haley 1B Limited Partnership, and the Boston Housing Authority. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. I'm Laura Martin. I'm representing the developer with TCB. John Schmidt is here with me from Niche, and then Allison Burton from the BHA is also on the call. I will give you all an overview of the Mildred Haley Master Plan, and then the first 2 buildings that are going to be developed and the scope that's associated with those, which is the subject of today's meeting. And then I'll hand it over to John to speak more specifically about the PIC proposal. The overall Mildred Haley development, it's a BHA site that's located in Jamaica Plain near Jackson Square. So here's Jackson Square. This is Center Street. So the entire redevelopment runs along Center Street and near Columbia. The BHA put out about 1/3 of the site for redevelopment. TCB, along with 2 other nonprofits, JP&DC and Urban Edge, are the designated developer for the entire redevelopment, which is the portion of the site along Center Street and along the southwest corridor. This redevelopment is going to be broken up into about 5 sub-phases so that residents can generally move directly into new buildings. So we're starting with developing on the least dense portion of this site, which is along the southwest corridor, where there's currently 1 existing residential building and an existing community center, the Anime Cole Center. It's not a movie theater, AMC short for Anime Cole Center, and then some grass space. So this is the first sub-phase that's of topic today, and that the new construction will include 2 new residential buildings that will also include a new community center, and then as well as construction of a new roadway alongside these 2 buildings and some additional scope related to the project on Heath Street. The overall master plan is for 673 income restricted units. There are 2 parking garages within the master plan, one of which is on the grade level of buildings 1A and 1B, enters from Heath Street and extends underneath the buildings. 1A has a small commercial community component along Heath Street, and then the subsequent phases will have some additional small community space and neighborhood retail along Center Street. This is a rendering that shows the scale of the first 2 buildings that will be built. These are 6-story buildings. This is a vantage point from the southwest corridor. So what's in the foreground of this is the southwest corridor park that's as existing, showing a new plaza space between the new buildings, the new community center, and then the 2 new buildings themselves, a total of about 223 units between the 2 new buildings. Here's a site plan of the first phase, which will include the construction of a new roadway alongside 1A and 1B that will include utilities underneath it, new streetscape, as well as some work that will be along Heath Street, which is adjacent to the building 1A. I've got a couple of renderings just to give you an additional sense. This is a vantage point from the corner of Heath Street and the new roadway. So this is coming up what will be the new roadway adjacent to the buildings, La Martine Street, and then the edge of Heath Street there. And this is a vantage point of the buildings from the southwest corner of building 1B. And there'll be a nice pedestrian plaza between the 2 buildings with the new community center. This is a vantage point from a raised crosswalk between the 2 buildings. And with that, I will hand it over to John to talk a little bit more specifically about the PIC proposal.
Thank you, Laura.
Sorry.
Let me know when you can see the screen.
You're good, John.
So starting at the intersection of Heath Street and La Martine Street, we are proposing improvements to Heath Street within the area of this first phase. On the westerly side of the intersection, we will have pervious pavers and a concrete sidewalk, 5-foot wide concrete sidewalk with safe accessible access. On the left side, we'll replace it with concrete. We're also proposing a median at the between Bromley and the proposed Lamartine Street with a crosswalk in the middle. And there's been recent discussion about possibly making this section right here at Lamartine a tabletop. So we'll have those discussions between now and the public hearing to ensure that everyone is on board with what is brought to you at the public hearing. Let me just next phase. So as we go down, go back. So as you can see, we go into Lamartine Street here. Lamartine Street is a 54-foot wide public way with a 34 feet of pavement. And on both sides, you have a 5-foot accessible pathway, walkway, and a 5-foot permeable strip. Within this phase, there are 15 new public street trees, new street lighting with shadow conduit, as well as a tabletop within here for safe pedestrian crossings. Here's the grading indicating the slopes in the roadway, and everything is accessible and has been reviewed by Sarah. And as we go here, now this is the end of phase 1, and this is how we're blending into the existing condition. Phase 2 will be coming along in the next year or two, at which point we will pick this up and make it a more conventional layout. But for right now, this is what's proposed in order to maintain operations within the campus. And I think that is the gist of my comments. But we also have a, pedestrian easement plan on East Street, and that will allow safe and accessible access along East Street.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Laura, I hope, as much as we are normally in the habit of having public hearings every 2 weeks, I hope the fact that we will not have a public hearing on August 11th is not going to cause too much consternation or anxiety on your team's part. Please do bear with us. It's just scheduling conflicts. I hope it is okay with you.
Yeah, it is a little challenging on the scheduling side, but we can pick that up offline, and we'll do what we need to do.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate your understanding. Just a background point from me to your team, Laura. So as you can imagine, as you know quite well, and glad to see the team, including Urban Edge, you all have been in this area about decades now. The need for additional vegetation to meet the demands of heat islands is absolutely relevant. I'm always puzzled by some of the schematics which I see over the years where, architects take great liberties showing trees that look like it's been there for 10 years, but then we plant a tree that looks like a little sapling, from the place of, Charlie Brown, like a small little tree. So hopefully you all can invest on a caliber of a tree that has some little girth, so it doesn't grow on the first year, or it takes 20 years for it to reach the necessary, canopy. So it's not something which we can force on you, but please take some consideration in increasing the caliber of a tree. Because right now, John, I don't want to trouble you to find out what that caliber of a tree is on the street lines. Okay, it is the bigger the tree you can plant today without it getting shocked while we plant it, the better it's. The faster we can bear the fruits of its canopy to deal with heat. John, what sort of the irrigation system is there to support the street trees? I didn't get a chance to look at the plans. Is there an active or a passive irrigation system?
I believe it's a passive system, but
okay.
Others can correct me.
Yeah, could you, because again, not my area of expertise, the past department can weigh in. Again, Laura, I'm just being concerned about the trees that you're planting and how they seem to suffer due to lack of appropriate oversight or irrigation. Someone's going to waste some money, and you do want to ensure that these trees stay alive. So, John, you know the drill. If you can give some guidance to your...
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think you know what I'm saying. That's all I have. Any comments by fellow commission members to the petitioners team? Hearing,
Sorry, just one comment. I just wanted a little bit more clarity on the width of the median that on Heath Street and what that ped refuge dimension is, just to ensure that it meets our city standards.
Sarah, I believe it's a 6 foot width.
Okay. I just think on the drawings, it does look a little bit small. There doesn't seem to be a gap between the two detectable warnings. So if that is something that can be double checked between now and public hearing, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, we'll confirm and dimension it on the drawings.
Perfect, thank you.
thank you, Sarah. Any further comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none. Todd, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, I'll just say once again, this project has been through numerous rounds of plan comments, and we appreciate their working with us to get to this point.
Thank you, Todd. Laura, again, my thanks to your whole team for all the diligent work which you are doing to make our city the best it can be. So truly appreciate those efforts on your part. So if you're again okay, we will mark this thing up for a public hearing in 4 weeks, which should take us through August 25th. Okay? Hopefully that should give you enough time to clarify the little bit of loose ends and have a very successful public hearing. Thank you so much, Nora. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Moving on to the second item under the new business, Columbia Road, Mercer Street, East 8th Street, Carmody Court, Bend Court. This is all in South Boston, a pedestrian easement, specific repairs, abandonments on a set of joint petitions by Old Colony Old Colony 4 Bonds Limited Partnership, Old Colony 5 Bonds Limited Partnership, and the Boston Housing Authority. Good morning. Hi, Ms. Jameson.
Hi, good morning.
Sorry,
Nice to see everybody. I'm joined by many of the usual suspects. I'll let John do intros in a minute, but I'd like to turn some opening remarks over to Josh Cohen, who's the president of our development company, if that's okay.
That's quite okay, Josh. Sorry to have cut you short, but Ms. Jameson has been with us for more than a couple of days. Good to see you, Josh.
Good to see all of you. No, Darcy's a regular. So thanks everyone for having us. This is we're continuing to forge ahead with the redevelopment of Old Colony. A lot of Boston Housing Authority business here today. Phases 4 and 5 demolition. We hope will commence. Say in the coming 30 or 45 days, and we would like to be in construction on these phases by the end of this year. We're here today with revisions to our plans that were driven primarily by compliance with 25A, and I think we, along with many deals in the city, there was some confusion for a while about which deals in the pipeline would need to comply with 25A, which might be grandfathered. And so it sort of took a while for us to flush all that out, but we've revised plans so that we're fully in compliance with 25A. And then there's also been a bunch of dialogue with the BPDA over what is often called the Gate Street extension, which again, John will take you through what we've done. And so those two things, it's just taken some time to sort of all get on the same page about and get revised plans together. So we're a little bit behind the 8 ball as we're getting approvals for these revisions. So appreciate everyone's patience with us for sort of being a little bit late. And whatever we can do collectively to make this speedy and efficient, to get our revised plans to where you need them to be, so that we can get into ISD for pulling a permit and get into the ground as soon as possible. So thank you again for having us. Darcy, if there's anything I missed, you should chime in, and John Schmidt can take it away. Thanks again.
Josh, before I transfer the screen, not transfer the screen. Josh, just a point of amplification, since these are online public hearings and every person may not know the purpose of some of the vocabulary which we use, you kept referring the term 25A. If you could just amplify what that means so that anyone who is listening can understand what that stipulation means.
Absolutely. That was shorthand for a recently adopted ordinance in the city of Boston, the Coastal Flood Resilience Overlay District.
Thank you.
Known as Article 25A.
Got it, exactly. So this way no one thinks that it is some mysterious little thing. Okay, awesome, thank you. Mr. Schmidt, John, wherever you are.
Good morning again. Let me share my screen. You can see it?
Yes.
So this is the locus of Phase 4 and Phase 5. We're bounded by Columbia Road, Mercer Street, East 8th Street, and Old Harbor Street. You can see the proposed two buildings, the Phase 4 building in red and the Phase 5 building in blue. These are what the renderings of the proposed buildings as they come along. This is East 8th Street right here on your left. Columbia is over here. There's some views of the proposed buildings. One of the first courses of action is housekeeping efforts, where we're going to have to do an abandonment of an existing private way, which is unimproved. Essentially, it serves as a courtyard area and parking lot area. And that's one of the actions we'll be seeking for at the public hearing. The second housekeeping effort is the abandonment of Carmody Court, which is also a private way within the campus. And it's generally unimproved except for some surface improvements. Along Columbia Road, we are proposing the new 8-foot wide concrete sidewalks.
Excuse me, John.
Yes?
John, we interrupt you. The two abandonments, I forget the two streets, but have you developed an engineering report that verifies that there is no utilities and all of that good stuff?
Yes, part of the notification process went out to the 22 city agencies and
okay. So the PX actually is in position of an engineering report for both the two abandonment streets. Yes? Awesome.
Yes.
So continue, please.
So Columbia Road, which is an existing public way of variable width, we are proposing the reconstruction of all the sidewalks that abut this space, starting at Mercer Street and going east. We'll be constructing 5-foot wide concrete sidewalks with 8-foot wide concrete sidewalks with 5-foot wide permeable pavers, new street trees. The street lighting will be removed and reset. And then the next, then on Mercer Street from Columbia Road to East 8th Street, we will also be reconstructing the sidewalk there within the layout. We have 6 new street lights with telecom as well as new street trees. And East 8th Street from Mercer Street to the end of Phase 1. We are also reconstructing that with concrete sidewalks and streetlights and new telecom. There's also pedestrian easement plans that are proposed as part of this that will allow us to provide along Columbia Road. This widening will allow us to provide the permeable pavers as well as the 8-foot sidewalk. And we have a short section of Mercer Street, which is also being widened to provide the improvements proposed there. So in all, we have 2 abandonment plans, 3 specific repair plans, and 2 easement plans.
Thank you, John. If that concludes your presentation, assuming it's good, are there any questions for Mr. Schmidt and his team by fellow commission members? Okay, hearing none. Any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, we're still working out a few of the finer details with some of their streetscape features So we've requested that the project schedule a meeting with PIC staff as well as BTD and BPDA folks to go over some of those things. So we'll hold that meeting hopefully in the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Todd.
Is it worth identifying what some of those questions or concerns are? I think we've been working in direct response to requests from Mr. Martin and BPDA team, and sort of understood that sort of what we had put forth were acceptable designs and what was asked by our team to do. So I think we're curious what the changes or requests might be, or maybe they're very insignificant, but as Josh said, with an eye to kind of already being behind the 8 ball and still needing all of our approvals and everything signed off on in order to submit to ISD to start vertical construction in November. I think it would be helpful to have a little bit of a sense of kind of what the questions or concerns are and how we're gonna sort of get to done.
Yeah, we know that you've been through a number of conversations with BPDA, and I think we all have an understanding of what it is that you're trying to accomplish and what your goals are with access or inaccess to that quote unquote Gate Street extension. So we're not interested in undoing any of those conversations. We just want to make sure that some additional folks get eyes on that design and ensure that what's eventually constructed is going to be what addresses everybody's needs. So we're not starting over. We just want to fine tune things, and we're happy to work with you to make sure that you're hitting all of your scheduling deadlines and all that as best as possible.
So John, you guys will take the lead to schedule that with the PIC.
Yeah, would you like us to throw some dates your way and then you can respond?
Yep, I'm checking with Matt. I'm checking with Matt and Jill at the BPDA, and we'll get to you within the next few days with some possible dates.
Okay, so if we don't hear from you by Wednesday, I'll reach out to you.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Two more. Oh, go ahead, John.
No, the public hearing will be in the 28th, so if we schedule it in the next 2 weeks, we'll be in good shape for the public hearing.
Yeah, so 2 more quick things, and one is related to that. So 2 weeks is the 11th, and then 2 more weeks is the 25th.
25th, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 25th.
I do think we've got some team members, including myself, who are on vacation that week, being the end of August. But if John is available, that's probably...
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay. That'd probably be fine. And then I would like to introduce just a couple of other team members. Carla Chafee. I don't know if, Carla, you've met the whole PIC crew, but Carla joined Nixon Peabody as a land use attorney. So she's now working with our team. She waved to everyone a second ago. And then Kiana Wassler. I'm not sure if Kiana is still on. I know she did have another commitment, but Kiana is the new development director working on Old Colony in partnership with me, so you may see or hear her name as well.
Thank you, Darcy. Again, I think we are all very excited about this project, and we give all the necessary guidance, assistance to bring this thing home and continue to do the fine work which you all have done over the years, as you will continue to do so for the upcoming years.
We appreciate that.
So we will mark you out for a public hearing on August 25th, which is 4 weeks from today. And I think it gives you ample time to dot the I's, cross the T's. But I would strongly suggest that, recognizing this is the month of August, if there are key members that needs to be at a given meeting, send the little invite notes today as soon as you can. So this way, the absence of people or their vacation schedules doesn't impede your ability to get the job done, so that we can have a wonderful public hearing on the 25th. Okay?
Terrific.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you all in 4 weeks. Item number 3, 660 Beacon Street, Boston proper, specific repairs on a petition by RREF 2, Roman numeral 2, Kenmone Lesser 3 LLC. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is John Hessian. I'm with BHB, and I'm here today representing the applicant. I just wanted to make note that Alex Provost from the applicant sends his regrets that he unfortunately was not able to attend this morning's meeting. If I can share my screen. I thought it might be helpful to go back in time a little bit to provide a little bit of context. The project, the subject project today is the 660 Beacon site, which is, for reference, is the home of the Citgo sign in Kenmore Square. That building or that project is part of a larger Kenmore Square redevelopment project that this first project went through PIC back in 2019. It's known as the Commonwealth Building at the intersection of Deerfield Street and Commonwealth Ave. That building is essentially complete. And immediately to the east of that is the 660 Beacon Street building, the subject to today's meeting. And it was also approved by PIC back in 2019 for, sidewalk, furnishing zone, cycle track, and primarily a pickup drop-off zone. In this location here, and this little red patched area is a location of, or an approximate location of a future MBTA head house for the Kenmore Square T-stop. Under an agreement between the applicant and the MBTA, the applicant was required to prepare 15% design drawings for that MBTA head house. In doing that, it was determined, or the T's preferred head house design resulted in a slightly larger area being required for that future head house, impacting the cycle track here, and which then was ultimately impacting the pickup drop-off zone, the accessible ramp location. And over the past several months, there's been a number of coordination meetings between the MBTA, city staff, the applicant, and the applicant's team. And I guess the desired outcome by all involved was to eliminate the pickup drop-off zone, straightening out of the cycle track, straightening out of the curb line to provide the area. This, if I zoom in, this is the slightly larger area that the T will be looking for, assuming that future head house design and construction progresses. And it's understood that the T would have to come back to this group at the time that project moves forward. So I guess today, and I just wanted to make note that we did receive a few comments from Todd yesterday afternoon. They were primarily focused on this streetlight location here that we will coordinate with street lighting to relocate to a better location. And then a number of comments regarding, bike racks potentially changing the alignment or orientation of them. And now with, I guess, this newfound wider furnishing zone, can we actually add some additional bike racks? I don't think that's going to be any problem or issue, but since we just received those comments last night, we want to coordinate with our, the landscape architect on the team to make sure that those are well thought through and placed appropriately. And
sorry, thank you, John. Before I open it up, Todd has Ms. Seskin from the Transportation Department. Is she part of the food chain or the review chain that's looking into this?
Yeah, a whole host of people from BTD, including Stephanie, are on this.
Awesome. So any questions by fellow commission members to Mr. Hessian today?
I have one. This is Joe Callahan. Is there an alternate proposed for the pickup drop-off lane since it will be eliminated?
There's no alternate proposed. It was determined that it really wasn't needed, part of it, I guess, and I was not involved in this project when it went through BPDA review and approval, but a big part of the reason for that pickup drop-off zone was for bus storage. When the T needs to use buses instead of the Green Line, and they feel like they can, or the T feels that they can stage along the curb line. But, you know, the applicant actually desired to have that for rideshare uses, and it was agreed that by all parties that it wouldn't be necessary. So no alternative pickup drop-off zone was proposed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Oh, yes, good morning. This is Denise Devon from Boston Water and Sewer. Our records show that we have water mains in the sidewalk there, so if you could send us an updated plan with the water mains shown on the drawing, and we may have additional comments.
We can definitely do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Any further questions by fellow commission members to John? Sarah, I'm going to assume you are okay with the repurposing of the spaces to meet the needs of your commission?
Yes, we believe that we are in agreement with both the T and other sister agencies to allow additional room for the installation of a future elevator. I think the trade-offs to benefit the elevator makes sense in this case.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Any further comments to John by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience? I thought I saw a person who had sort of raised their hand. Could you please check the audience and see whether there's anyone who would like to speak?
If anyone would like to speak, we ask that you please use the raise hand feature located at the bottom of your screen. We'll give you a second to find that. Or just unmute yourself. I think we're all set, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Todd. All right, so we will mark you up for 4 weeks. That would be August 25th, John, and hopefully your petitioner can join us. If not, still okay, because again, we are hyper sensitive to the fact that August is vacation, people take time off, okay? But as long as you have the letter of authority to speak on behalf of your petitioner for the day of the public hearing, that should take care of the legal requirements.
Okay, I will share that, and if Alex is not available, I'm sure they can have their legal counsel present to represent them in that manner.
Awesome. Thank you, John. We'll see you in 4 weeks.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, new business item number 4, 250 and 280 Western Avenue, Riverdale Street, Emirates, all in Brighton, widening and relocation, pedestrian easement, specific repairs on a set of petition by Alston Labworks Developer LLC. Good morning.
Morning. My name is James Downing from Howard Stein Hudson. I'm joined this morning by Mike Domenico, who is the proponent. Also joined by Maddie Blanchard from Howard Stein Hudson. Mike and I will present today. Mike will give a brief overview of the project, and then I'll go through the PIC plans. We do have some other design team members on the call for Q&A at the end. So with that, I'll hand it over to Mike to give a project overview.
Thanks, James. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time this morning. I just wanted to give a quick project background. Again, I'm Mike Domenico from King Street Properties. I'm one of the partners here, and we're extremely proud and excited about this project. We've gone through an extensive review process. We have received approval through Article 80 Large Project Review from the city, as well as an approved PDA development plan. We've received our Article 37 Green Building and Resiliency approval, as well as approval from the Parks Department and a construction document approval from the BPDA. So we're here in front of you today, obviously, to discuss our public improvements. We're really proud of the benefits that we're able to provide for this project. We have 26% affordability on our residential units, as well as a learning lab to bolster STEM education for local schools, an artist studio, and generous public open space, including Westford Park and our Artist Plaza. So just to orient you with the site here, on the map you can see this site sits in between Everett Street and Riverdale on the right-hand side of the page along Western Avenue. There are two main parcels. The south parcel on the south side of Western Avenue is 250 and 280 Western Avenue. 250 is a life science building with ground floor retail, and 280 Western Avenue is a residential building also with ground floor retail. On the north side of the street, that site is where Stadium Auto Body currently sits. That will be replaced with a life science building with ground floor retail as well. So I'll hand it over to James to walk through some of the details. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike.
Sure, thanks, Mike. Next slide, please, Mike. So this is a view of 250 Western Ave from Western Ave. So Riverdale would be on the left-hand side where that white vehicle is parked. Again, looking westward down Western Ave, you can see 280 on the left-hand side, and also that beige and gray building on the right-hand side would represent the 305 building. Next slide, please, Maddie. So this is halfway down now between the two buildings, 250 and 280 Western Ave. New driveway entrance, you can see plan left here. And then also, kind of looking down, you can see the improvements along 280 Western Ave as well. Next slide, please, Maddie. So starting with 280 Western Ave, you know, early in the design phase and in discussions with the BPDA staff, you know, the team and ownership became aware of the Western Ave study, specifically the vision for Western Ave at this location. So these plans reflect that, this design reflects that vision. So looking at the specific repair plan, improvements within the right-of-way would include a new 5-foot wide bituminous concrete bike lane, a 4-foot wide furnishing zone, which will include 7 new street trees, bike racks, porous pavers. There would also be a blue bike station located to the west of the building. There would also be an 8-foot wide cement concrete sidewalk. Next slide, please, Maggie. Similarly, at 250 Western Ave, the improvements include a 5-foot wide bike lane, 4-foot furnishing zone, 9 new street trees, new street lighting, porous pavers, and a minimum 8-foot wide cement concrete sidewalk. So Riverdale is on the right-hand side of this plan, kind of running north to south. Improvements within Riverdale will include a new cement concrete sidewalk, new street lighting. It will also include the removal of existing utility poles that will be replaced or relocated underground. It also includes the closure of 3 curb cuts along Riverdale and the installation of 1 new curb cut for fire access and for deliveries to back of house. There will also be a total of 7 curb cut closures along Western Ave for the 250 and 280 buildings, and the relocation of 1 curb cut that will serve as a driveway exit on between the 2 buildings, kind of plan left here. Next slide, please, Maddie. So the proponent is seeking to widen and relocate Western Ave. This is to allow for the installation of the new street lighting and the infrastructure associated with that. That new widening relocation will extend along the entire frontage of 250 and 280 Western Ave, for approximately 412 feet, with variable width for a total area of 2,385 square feet. Similarly, down Riverdale Street to allow for the installation of street lighting and for its infrastructure and for maintenance. It will be widening approximately 200 feet long from the intersection heading south on Riverdale. Variable width approximately 4.5 feet wide for a total area of 968 square feet. Next slide, if you may. So as a result of the construction of the 8-foot wide sidewalk, the proponents seeking to grant the city a pedestrian easement. This will also extend along the entire frontage of 250-280 Western Ave, approximately 412 feet. It will also extend down Riverdale Street, approximately 200 feet, for a total square footage of 6,364 square feet. The proponent is seeking to limit the pedestrian easement to an 11-foot height. That is for, there are 3 canopies currently on the 280 Western Ave building. Maddie, could you zoom in on plan left for me, please, if you don't mind? Those 3 canopies can be seen with this dashed gray line. We've got 1 on each corner and one in the middle. These 3 canopies would be e-traced and internally drained. There is no other future intent to project any other building element over the pedestrian easement. So we have submitted a TAPA, we have submitted a CMP. We have received comments from various departments. Specifically, we received comments from disabilities, and we've met with them. Likewise with BTD and PIC staff. We also received some EPA comments yesterday. We have reviewed all these comments with ownership, and we can certainly incorporate those into the design documents and PIC documentation before we come back for our hearing. With that, we're happy to answer any questions the Commission and public may have.
Thank you, Mr. Downey. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Mike, I have a question for you. I'm going to assume that your 2 properties, either one, and when I say the 2 properties, not the 250, 280 on one side of Western Ave, and then the 305 on the other side. I'm going to assume, or am I falsely assuming, that there's going to be some interaction between the 2 buildings, meaning if one is in one building, do they have a business in the other building? Trying to get a sense of the pedestrian synergy between the 2 buildings.
Yes, there's a potential that tenants may occupy both buildings. We're building them speculatively, so we don't know exactly what the tenancy will be, but yes, there's a chance that tenants are in both buildings and communicating between them. There's also shared parking between the sites.
Sorry. So Mike, sorry, actually this is more towards James. James, what I'm trying to figure out is, crossing Western Ave is challenging, and we want to make sure that it is controlled crossing. So you see a propensity for people in the 305 building to want to cross the street to come across. There you go. So at Western Ave, at Everett Street or somewhere, there needs to be some understanding as to how the 2 buildings, if there is no north arrow, how do you engage the 2 buildings from a pedestrian perspective who wants to cross the street of Western Ave? I'm going to assume, James, or without me assuming, please give me some thought, because these are 2 separate petitions. The 305 is a separate petition. Just want to make sure that people that are trying to get from the 305 side to the 252 side are not just going to cross right in the middle. Am I making sense, James?
Yeah, understood. Yeah, we have spoken about that. As Mike mentioned, the phase 1 is basically the construction of 250, 280. Phase 2 would be the standalone 305 building across the street. We have talked about it. We're not showing any strategy yet as to if it is the same ownership or same company that's leasing, space in 250 or 280 and 305. But that's a good point. We can certainly strategize and think a little bit more on it before we come back for our public hearing.
Thank you, James. Mike, it is better to give that some thought today rather than that becoming an issue for you and the city later onwards, because at the time right now, giving it some thought might be helpful on all fronts, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, it does. And we have taken a look at it in terms of trying to improve the pedestrian crossings that exist at Everett Street, as well as Riverdale. So we have taken a look at improving those crosswalks, as well as any sort of midpoint connection between Everett Street and Riverdale. We'll take another look at it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Truly appreciate that.
There's also a DCR project, right, to improve that section of Everett Street, which is not city-owned. And so I think that within that conversation, there is discussions about how to better align and cross people on Everett, particularly once we figure out where the bikes will end up. So I just think that you guys should probably be a part of that conversation as well. As we try to, right, like, you know, we're trying to align things to fix the skew a little bit. But I think that ultimately that's what's going to drive the design decision on that side.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for clarifying that point. In addition to Ms. Spalding's comments, are there any further questions or comments to the petitioners, to either Mr. Downing or to Mike?
Oh, yes, I have a comment. This is Denise Devlin from Boston Water and Sewer. So our records show that we have facilities within the sidewalk and close to the curb. I would like to put that stuff on the drawing. So basically anything in the sidewalk and within a few feet of the curb. We may have additional comments after that.
Sure, we can certainly add those, Denise, and forward those to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Any further comments from Mr. Downing or Mr. Domenico? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience regarding new business item number 4?
No, again, there are a few kind of finer details to some of the design elements associated with this project. The project is working with PIC staff and BTD staff to figure out exactly what those are going to look like, and we'll have a resolution by the public hearing.
Thank you. Seems like this 4-week continuance is actually to the benefit of most petitioners. Okay, so I don't need to feel that guilty. Awesome. So Todd, I'm going to assume there are no further comments or concerns by either members of today's staff, commission, or audience. We will mark new business item number 4 for 4 weeks for August 25th. Okay, that brings us to the last item on today's agenda, 305 Western Avenue, McDonald Avenue, Brighton, widening and relocation, pedestrian easement, specific repairs on a set of petitions by Austin Labworks Developer LLC.
Morning again, James Downing, Howard Stein Hudson, project engineers. Joined again by Mike Domenico from King Street Properties, who's the proponent, and Matty Blanchard from Howard Stein Hudson as well. So this is a rendering of the 305 building. So basically we're standing on Everett Street on the southwest corner. Western Ave is in the foreground, and Everett Street will be located between the trees on the left and the new building. Next slide, please, Matty. So the specific repair for 305 is similar to the 250 and 280 buildings. Improvements within the public way would include a 5.5-foot wide bituminous concrete bike lane. It would include a 5-foot wide furnishing zone with 6 new street trees. Within the furnishing zone, we would also include bike racks, perennial pavers, new street lighting. And we would also include a new 8-foot wide cement concrete sidewalk. Next slide, please, Matty. At the rear of 305, it is McDonald Ave meets Everett Street. McDonald Ave is a private way, but along that private way, the proponent is seeking to construct a new 6-foot wide cement concrete sidewalk with a strip of perennial pavers and a new relocated driveway entrance. We did get some comments yesterday from BPDA staff about requests to widen the private way to incorporate the new cement concrete sidewalk. We have reviewed that with ownership, and we can make that request. So before we come back later on this month, we will generate a widening and relocation plan for this portion of McDonald Ave and submit that petition to PIC staff for review. Next slide, please, Mary. Similarly as well, we have a widening relocation plan along the front of 305 Western Ave. Again, this is incorporate the installation and maintenance of the new street lighting. It will continue along the entire frontage of the site, which is approximately 180 feet, with variable width for a total square area of 805 feet. Next slide, please, Matty. Again, we are also proponents seeking to grant the city a pedestrian easement along the entire front of the project site. Again, 181 feet long by approximately 8 feet wide for a total area of 1,438 square feet. With that, we are happy to answer any questions that commission members may have or the public.
Thank you, James. Any questions from Mr. Downing or Mr. Domenico?
Oh, hi, James. This is Denise Devlin again from Boston Water and Sewer. Yeah, we had the same comments as we had in the previous petition. Record show that we have facilities in the sidewalk and close to the curb. If you can put those facilities on the specific repair plans, and we may have additional comments after that. That'll be great. Thank you.
Will do. Thanks.
Hey, James, just little things which I'm noticing. If my memory serves me correctly, and for the love of God, I may be wrong. Everett Street within this area is a 40-footer, not a 41 feet. So you may just want to check our plans. Then again, I may be wrong. Everett Street, mine. Okay.
Sure.
These are one of the older streets. We're very strict to, round numbers those days. Okay.
Yep.
Second thing is maintenance agreement. Todd, where are we roughly about the maintenance agreements for this one?
Yep, the project is working with Chung. We're going to need a bunch of maintenance agreements and easements and all that good stuff. So all those legal agreements are in the process.
Awesome, thank you. Any comments by you, Mr. Lining, and all members of today's staff?
No, again, appreciate the project team working with us to get through all the planned comments that they've received.
Thank you. That being said, we will mark you up for 4 weeks. That should take us to August 25th. Okay?
Great, thank you. Appreciate your time this morning.
Yes, thank you, everyone. That concludes the business of today's public hearings and today's agenda. I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care now.
Thank you.
Thank you.